What's going down, everyone? Today we're going to be looking at the 455 series for drivers and Nvidia's introduction of the game ready driver of 456.38. Hopefully this meets you very well, and I'm sorry to hear that everyone's disappointment with the launch of the 30 series and the unavailability besides getting it inside of store. My name's Mac, you're at the MacGyver7 channel. Today we're going to be looking at some benchmarks, as well as some patch notes and what has changed inside of this driver. Some core things definitely have been going on to there, and we'll look at is the hardware accelerator looking, well, good or bad. So let's go ahead and hop right into it, shall we? First things first, if you would like to entertain the real direct release notes, you can do so by going to the very bottom of the comments that I have linked down below. Besides the technicals, I personally like to go and scroll around on Reddit and always find the really cooler stuff and kind of tell us what has actually been changed. And there is a ton of stuff that actually has been changed. This article will be definitely linked down below for a lot of people that want to go ahead and entertain the full read on that situation, but the highlights basically are looking at as the game ready driver and the custom abilities of the effects and ray tracing for the DSL. We're looking at Nvidia Reflect and their custom RTX maps. We're looking at anything for, day one support for Halo, and we're also looking for some Mafia, and there's a lot of other cooler stuff on top of that as well. The introduction of the family of the 3080 and 3090 soonly coming down to the portion of the introduction of a lot of people playing. We're also going to be looking at the GeForce experience and the automatic perform tuning portion for the 30 and the 20 series. On top of that, the experience in the in-game performance and monitoring the 600 series and above. The shadows play for as far as the recording and the HDR on the 900 series. Also on the above for as far as the RTX 3090 series can capture 8K 30 frames HDR, which just gave me a little, it fluttered my heart. It was like almost in love. I'd like to see 60, but I'll take the 30 in HDR. That's fabulous. It's awesome. I'm like super stoked. I'm trying to get that. Ladies and gentlemen, wish me luck. Next week's going to be really cool because, we got another launch of another GPU that hopefully won't be scalped. Yeah. Well, apparently Nvidia's working on it. They said don't pay anything past the MSRP, what's out there. So looking at past that, the broadcasting for as far as the AI noise and the removal of the virtual background, that was one of the funner things that actually made it out there, which I thought was cool. So for a lot of broadcasters out there, this is way cooler, simpler than having to deal with a lot of filters. On top of that, we have 5 new G-Sync compatible monitors that will be listed down below, as well as the SLI profile updates, which they have for all these games listed right here. On top of the situation of the CUDA core support for the 11.1, the 5 screens listed down below are now up above right here. So the impact on the SLI disable on the Ampere GPU, you can see that there's a lot of stuff that's going down. Now taking a closer look at what's going down for all the changes, we can see that there's anything from Batman to Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Detroit Become Human, Forza, and this will definitely be listed down below for a lot of people that are coming down to it. Notebooks were also on there for as far as the Thunderbolt down to the portions of the control panels. So there's a lot of fixes that came down to the gameplay. Now open issues for as far as what's out there between Windows 10 and Windows 7, there is a decent amount of stuff that does still meet the actual portion of what they're trying to fix. But if you're trying to figure out if you're part of the afflicted, you can easily do that by just clicking these links that I have conveniently down below for everyone. Now the portion that we're going to be looking at now is the benchmarks and seeing what does change. Now for a lot of the returning community members, this should be pretty fun because I have a new format for you guys and gals in order for us to kind of digest what's going down. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the basics, and we'll look at what ends up happening with everything. With looking at the patch back to back, you see a lot of interesting things. We see reduction when it comes down to without having the hardware accelerator on from driver to driver. So the brand new driver on the right and the old driver on the left. To take a closer look at what ended up happening with DirectX 11 and the Firestrike testing that I ended up getting down to, there was a lot of fun stuff that we ended up coming into. So where the hardware accelerator on does work for both of them, it does beat it with the new driver with the hardware accelerator on. Looking at the extreme version, it comes down to almost a draw, and where ultra is, you have your 4K, which comes back with a fierceness with overtaking it, as shown in a better comparison breakdown for as far as what ends up happening with driver to driver and test to test. As we exit DirectX 11 and we go to DirectX 12, we're going to see some other very interesting things before we get down to the ray tracing of what ends up happening with what's going on. So to end the segment for DirectX 11, you should definitely have your hardware accelerator on. It definitely benefits with the new driver. From the portion of 4K, you're going to get a huge benefit with the DirectX 11. So let's go ahead and take a look at DirectX 12. So with looking at DirectX 12, we see driver to driver. With the advancement of this new one, it fails, but with the hardware accelerator on, it succeeds. As you can see, driver to driver performance, there are going to be some very different variations. As you can see right over here, it overtakes it in time spy with the hardware accelerator on for the newer driver, and it goes down without it. Now, there's going to be some performanceable points when we look at the extreme, because it ends up being pretty much just a darn tie, which is pretty cool. With looking at Port Royale and the tensor cores, driver to driver without the hardware accelerator on, you can definitely get some pretty good performance. As you can see right over here, that the driver to driver performance is pretty good for as far as the way we're leaping up, and you can kind of see that yes, the hardware accelerator on is definitely going to be better than the other native one, but you can get a better portion of your tensor cores. So overview, what should you be doing? At this point in time, it seems a little bit confusing, but it seems like if you're doing ray tracing, you're going to want to have your hardware accelerator off. If you're doing anything for as far as DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 without RTX functions, you can go ahead and leave it on and have a very fun experience. So far, this driver seems like it offers a lot, and hopefully it fixes a lot for a lot of people out there. Again, I appreciate the time that you've spent into this, and hopefully this gives a little bit more clarity for as far as what's going down. This week it seems like Windows is finally pushing forward with a really good thing, so they probably worked really well with Nvidia for the launch of what their 30 series was. If you're returning community members, thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys and gals, and if you are purchasing a newer card in the near future, you can always use the links down below. Though it may not be the item that you want, if you are utilizing an Amazon link, utilizing those links down below helps me out as a creator, which brings me to the next subject. If you are new to the network, you can always subscribe. It's absolutely free, and that one works by just hitting that subscription bell, cracking that Liberty bell down there for all the notifications. And if you subscribe today, who knows, maybe, just maybe, they'll make another Dante's Inferno. That was an amazing game back in the day, and I feel like they could really benefit off of doing another one. I love that game. It was like God of War, but just different. But anyways, everyone, have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys and gals in the near future. Stay classy, stay safe, and I'll see you there.